Breaking today, a story shaking households across the United States. A story that carries both urgency and weight, one that could change the financial reality for millions of Americans who've been holding their breath. Reports are now emerging that a new round of relief, a direct payment of up to $2,000, has been confirmed for seniors on Social Security, SSDI, and SSI. For many, this isn't just another government announcement. It feels like the difference between survival and slipping further behind. Think about it, across the nation, seniors are already navigating skyrocketing rent, grocery bills that seem to double overnight, and prescription costs that can eat away at half a retirement check. For a 72-year-old relying on nothing but Social Security, the average monthly benefit barely clears $1,900. Out of that, nearly $1,100 can vanish immediately into housing costs, leaving a few hundred to cover utilities, medical copays, food, and transportation. It doesn't take an economist to see, there's not much left at the end of the month. That's why this idea of a fresh $2,000 stimulus check, is being described as historic. Advocates call it recognition of dignity long overdue. Critics, meanwhile, warn that it may only be a temporary bandage on a much deeper wound. Still, for those who've been waiting, watching, and wondering if Washington would ever deliver again, the confirmation of these payments represents not just money, but hope. To understand how we got here, we need to rewind. For months, lawmakers have faced mounting pressure. Advocacy groups, senior organizations, and even local community leaders have been pounding the table, pointing to data that paints a stark picture. Nearly 1 in 3 seniors in America report skipping meals or cutting medication dosages because of costs. Surveys reveal that more than 40% of disabled Americans on SSDI are in debt just to keep up with everyday expenses. In town halls and letters to Congress, the stories have been heartbreaking. Grandparents forced to choose between heat and food, or between buying insulin and paying rent. The calls grew louder as inflation pushed basic necessities further out of reach. Egg prices up nearly 28% since last year, utilities climbing 12%, and rent spikes hitting seniors especially hard in urban centers. And while the Social Security cost of living adjustment offered some relief, it was quickly swallowed by rising expenses. For many, it felt like running uphill on a treadmill that never slows down. In this storm, the idea of a fourth stimulus check resurfaced, an idea many believed was long dead. Critics called it reckless, but supporters rallied with a simple question: how can America, the wealthiest nation in the world, leave its most vulnerable citizens hanging by a thread? Petitions gathered millions of signatures. Legislators faced growing pressure from voters who said the earlier checks had been a lifeline, not a luxury. And then, after weeks of speculation, the tide turned. Sources close to the administration revealed that a direct payment program had quietly cleared its final hurdles. Seniors on Social Security, recipients of SSDI, and those relying on SSI are now being told to expect up to $2,000 in additional support. The official wording remains careful, the timelines cautious, but the direction unmistakable: relief is coming. For many Americans, the math is personal. A widow living in Ohio explained it simply: $2,000 means I don't have to ration groceries for the next few months. It means I can finally fill my prescriptions on time instead of waiting until my next check comes in. In Florida, a retired veteran said, "This will keep the lights on. This will keep me from dipping into credit cards again." It's not luxury, it's survival. But not everyone is convinced. Economists caution that pumping billions into direct payments could stoke inflation further, undoing some of the very relief the checks are meant to provide. Fiscal conservatives warn that the national debt, already past $34 trillion, can't sustain repeated waves of direct payments. Some argue the focus should instead be on strengthening Medicare, expanding affordable housing, or reforming prescription drug costs. Still, supporters counter that the cost of doing nothing is far greater. Leaving seniors and disabled Americans to fend for themselves doesn't just hurt individuals, it erodes communities, burdens hospitals with preventable crises, and frays the moral fabric of the nation. And at its heart, this debate is not just about economics, it's about values. When will the checks arrive? That's the next question on everyone's lips. While no official date has been stamped onto government schedules, early reports suggest the rollout could align with upcoming federal disbursement cycles. Some are hinting that direct deposits might be prioritized first, with paper checks following for those without electronic access. The distribution could stretch over several weeks, with seniors in rural areas among the last to receive their funds. The fine print matters, too. Not everyone will see the full $2,000. Some payments may be adjusted based on income, or distributed in staggered amounts. For those already receiving Social Security or SSI, the process is expected to be automatic, no applications, no extra steps. For others, there may be a need to update information with the Social Security Administration to avoid delays. The reactions tonight are mixed, but the emotions are undeniable. Relief, disbelief, gratitude, and caution all swirl together. For many seniors, it feels almost surreal, as though the government remembered them after years of waiting. And for younger families watching parents and grandparents struggle, this announcement lands like a promise that the nation hasn't completely turned its back. It is also, undeniably, a reminder of just how fragile financial security has become in modern America. If $2,000 can mean the difference between food on the table and an empty pantry, then the system itself may need more than bandages. Some see this as the beginning of a larger conversation, about permanent boosts to Social Security, about protecting seniors not just in moments of crisis but every single month. And so, the story continues. Tonight, the confirmation of a $2,000 fourth stimulus check for seniors and the disabled stands as both an answer and a question. It is an answer to months of pleas for help. But it is also a question about the future. Can America sustain these measures, and will they ever be enough to secure lasting dignity for those who gave their best years to building the country? For now, millions wait for the deposits, for the envelopes, for the relief they've been told is coming. And as they wait, one truth becomes clear. This is not just about checks, numbers, or politics. It's about people. It's about survival. And it's about the promise that no American should be left behind in their final years. So as households across the nation lean on this news, one thing is certain, these payments will carry far more than just dollars. They carry hope, and perhaps, the beginning of a new chapter in how America cares for its own.